Hey guys, how is everybody doing? The month that was August of 2024 has come and gone, as well as summer. Summer is officially gone because I'm in school and football comes back. A lot of signs that summer is over. Goodbye, summer. We'll all miss you. But let's say goodbye to summer and August the right way with ranking all 5 August movies that I watched during the month of August, all ranked from worst to best. I only watched 5 films because I kind of took a break because school's starting and kind of got tired in the meantime. It's really tiring when you go to the theater every weekend, so I took a little break from some movies. So yeah, I got a chance to check out 5 movies during the month of August, same number as last month, I believe. And I gotta tell you guys, I have done I believe about 6 or 7 of these lists now. I believe this is about to be my 7th one, where I take a month and all the movies I watched during that month, I rank them all from worst to best. And out of this entire year, this is probably the worst month for movies in my mind because January is usually described as dump month for films. Hoo-wee-hoo. But with that all out of the way, coming in at my number 5, the worst of the month and the worst film of this entire month, and one of the worst films of the entire year, is going to be Eli Roth's Borderlands and the new attempt to do a video game adaptation. Now, admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of the Borderlands series. The real only one I really sat down and played all the way through was Tales of the Borderlands, which is up there somewhere. And I only played that because it was Telltale game. I'm a huge fan of Telltale, and that's the only reason I really bought and played it. And I enjoyed that. Then I found out this was coming out. I bought the first game, and I played a little bit of it, and I kind of just stopped playing it because it got really repetitive and boring, and it wasn't for me. There's no story to it either, and when I play video games, I'm a huge story-driven person, so that didn't really work out for me. And as I was playing the game, I was like, how are you going to turn this into a film? There's no story there. There's not enough there to tell a story. Only if you find some unique or funny way to do it, maybe it could work. And then first reactions came out, and I was like, oh, this is not going to be a good movie. But 0% can't be that bad. I've seen worse. Madam Web. And I went into this movie now. Does it deserve the 0% that it got in the first ratings? No. I've seen worse in my life. But the fact that we went from video game adaptations being so good and finally reaching that mountaintop to where we were finally getting the video game adaptations that we've all been begging for with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Mortal Kombat movie that came out a few years ago, and we're getting a new one to that next year. And my favorite video game adaptation with The Last of Us. And we even got Fallout on Prime, which regrettably I still have not sat down and watched. Time gets ahead of me and I get very busy. And when you get from all of that, when we feel like we're going on the right track, to this? What? And there's not really enough there for Borderlands fans. So, yeah, again, I'm not a big fan of them, but I did notice some Easter eggs here and there. I got a few callbacks, but there's time to time I was watching them like, this doesn't feel like a Borderlands movie. This feels like a really cheap Indiana Jones like adventure film, which it really isn't, but it kind of feels like that. And to where it's just plain boring. The movie's 2 hours long, which is nowadays a okay runtime for films, but this movie took fucking forever to end because when you thought it was going to end, you get to the vaults, it's like, okay, finally, we're about to end. And they all split up, and the little girl's mad at the one girl who's the main character. Great, and then it's going to go on for another 10 minutes. Finally, they're out the vault. We're going to find out what's finally in the vault so we can end this movie. Oh, it turns out the little girl isn't the one that's supposed to open the vault. It's this fucking nobody that we've been watching this entire fucking film. And huge achievement for me for a movie. If you're able to put a screen in front of me and a film in front of me and make me hate Jack Black, you have achieved something in your lifetime. You did that with me. I fucking adore Jack Black, one of my favorite comedians, one of my favorite actors of all time. I love Jack Black to death. But oh my god, dude, I could not stand him in this fucking film. He just aggravated the shit out of me. He voiced as Claptrap, who I think is a good choice for it because I don't see much of Claptrap in the first game much, but what I do see of him, he's funny at times. He doesn't play like a huge part of the story. He only pops up here and there to crack like a joke or do something funny, really. But this movie, he's just so fucking annoying. And Jack Black, dude, I thought you were gonna be a saving grace, but he wasn't. But is this the worst film of the year? No, but it's one of the worst films of the year. But not for me. Coming in at number 4, this is the only movie on this list where I say it's mediocre, and that is going to be the Crow remake. Now, I just did my Crow review series. I'll probably have a card up here or a card at the end of the video of a playlist of all my Crow content, but I reviewed the Crow series leading up to this one. And, I'm a huge fan of the original Crow. The original Crow is one of my all-time favorite films. That is a movie that means a lot to me. I have a lot of nostalgia for it on an emotional level. It always hits me in the stomach. I fucking cry every time I watch that movie. It's so emotional. It's just one of my all-time favorite films, and it is my favorite comic book movie. But when they announced that a remake has been in development hell for years, like this movie has been in development for years at this point, maybe for 10 years at this point. Who knows how long this has been in development. And then we got the news early on this year, I believe, that we were finally getting it. We were finally getting the remake that we've been all anticipating for with Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, Pennywise. I didn't like that casting. But I still try to have a little bit of hope. Maybe there's a chance. Maybe this will work for me. But I will say this. As a remake to that original film, I hate this movie. I do not like it whatsoever. But watching it as a whole new film, as a whole new perspective, and just watching it as a readaptation, that comic book by James O'Barr, which is a fantastic comic, it's fine. I do not hate it. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think this is one of the worst adaptations. I've seen worse comic book adaptations. Madam Web. I'm gonna fucking hate that movie for the rest of my life, and you're gonna hear me blab about it throughout this video. I guarantee it. But it's just fine. I didn't hate it. It's disappointing for sure. And really, the moment that really carried this movie was that whole opera scene. I guarantee you, if that whole movie was badass like that whole sequence, or just as good as that sequence, we wouldn't even be having the conversation this movie is terrible. I guarantee you this would be in my top 2. Maybe my number 1. Possibly. Who knows? It wouldn't. But it just, as a readaptation, it's fine. As a remake to that original, I don't like it. Watching it as its own film, as just an average Crow movie, which, let's be honest, all the Crow sequels are technically remakes. City of Angels, that's basically a carbon copy of the original. But, it's fine. If you're a Crow fan, give it a shot. If you're only a fan of that original movie and you have not seen anything else besides that original movie, good for you. Don't bother with the movie. I would just say don't bother with the movie if that first movie means so much to you, like it does for me. But, if you love that comic book and you want to see a different adaptation of that comic, you're definitely going to get it here, and it's very interesting. It's not bad, not terrible, it's fine, and it's a watchable film at least. Coming in at number 3 is a movie I thought was fine, but it didn't completely work for me, and that is going to be Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, Blink Twice. Now, admittedly, I didn't know anything about this movie going in. I knew nothing. I only knew 2 things, really. One is that Zoe Kravitz, who is Catwoman in The Batman, was directing this movie, which I thought was very interesting. I'm like, okay, I want to see what she can bring. And 2, that Channing Tatum was the star, which was very obvious from the poster. Channing Tatum, this guy, he's been having a good year. But I went in not having really any expectations, very low expectations. Saw 1 or 2 reviews. All of them were all saying it's fine and it's watchable and it's worth a shot. I was like, okay, people that I absolutely trust. And I went in and I sat down in the theater, and I was like, that wasn't bad. That was not a bad film whatsoever. And it's fine. It's not really what I expected. What I heard about the film, I kind of expected something different. When Channing Tatum, who, before I say anything else, this guy was great in this movie. He gave one of his best performances I've ever seen from this guy, to where he was able to be fun, relatable, and just a guy you'd want to hang out with type person, where he's super nice, super chill. a guy that you like, and then towards the end of the movie, he becomes really scary or real and really fucked up, and giving one of the best performances I've ever seen from this guy. I don't think it's an Oscar nomination type role, but he was really fucking good in the movie, and I want to praise him for that. And Zoe Kravitz, very promising directorial debut, because I am very interested to see what she'll do next. I'm hoping she does another film, because this is a very promising start to her career. And, it's not really what I expected with the reveal, because if you've seen the trailer, then when I went home and I watched the trailer after film, I'm like, I want to see what the trailer tried to do with this movie. And I watched it, and you're like, okay, you're going to think that this movie is going to kind of have, like, something going on the island. There's, like, a weird creature, some weird voodoo going on. But no, nothing at all. And that is a huge praise for me, because I am sick and tired of films doing that, to where it's just like, oh, I brought you to this island and we're gonna do some sick voodoo shit to you. It's just like, no, it's kind of like that, but it's not really voodoo shit. It's just weird things, to where Channing Tatum, he invites these two girls to this island, and they kind of party a little bit. They do drugs. They drink a lot. They're having fun on this island, who God knows how long they've been on it. And then all of a sudden, just slowly, things start to go wrong. And the pacing and the build up to it, I thought was really good in my mind. And I really like that, to where we slowly start to find out what was going on the island, who these people are, and basically how terrible they are. I won't spoil what the ending is, and I won't spoil what happens in the film, but it just really worked for me. But though a huge downside for me was the characters. The characters in this film did not work for me whatsoever. I did not give a flying fuck about them. They were all just, they didn't work for me. None of them were a lot really any interest in my mind. There was just no likability really there. They're fine. I just didn't care for them much. But Blink Twice, very promising start to Zoe Kravitz's directorial efforts, and really hoping we get to see more of her. And if you haven't seen Blink Twice, I say it's at least worth a shot. But again, nothing to blow your mind over, and I do think it's at least worth one watch. Double clicked again. But coming in at number 2 is going to be M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. Now, I'm a huge fan of M. Night Shyamalan's early work. I really love his early work, like The Sixth Sense, Signs, and Unbreakable, which is one of my favorite comic book films ever. And I even like some of his early work, like Split. Like some of that old school M. Night Shyamalan really works for me. But further down the line, this guy has not been doing it for me. Some of his newer work, some of his like middle of his job type work, like Lady in the Water or stuff like that, has not been working for me. And the only time when I think of M. Night Shyamalan, I think of old school Shyamalan. And when last year when we got his film Knock at the Cabin, I thought it was okay. I thought it was in the right direction for him to come back and be old school Shyamalan again, but it just didn't completely work for me. Dave Bautista in that film was great, but it just wasn't great, and I was really hoping it'd be good. And then 3 years ago, when we got his film Old, which I do not like that movie whatsoever. That was one of the worst films of the year that year came out. What was it, 2021, I think? That was one of the worst years of the year it came out. And then when I heard that he was coming out with a new film called Trap, I did not watch the trailers. I didn't really know anything about it. The only thing I really knew was that somebody described it to me as like Dexter in like a Taylor Swift concert, which watching the movie now, that makes no fucking sense in my mind. But that sold me immediately. I try to stay away from trailers, but my theater needed to play it. Well, I went to Deadpool and Wolverine, and I watched it, and I was like, huh, this looks like old school Shyamalan again. Maybe there's a chance this is clearing the path to where we could see Shyamalan again, the old school Shyamalan, to where we get back to that Sixth Sense era. It's just like, we get a great twist, we get a great film, and unfortunately, it was all brought down very quickly. First half really had me intrigued. I thought it was really interesting. The build up was very fun, and the main actor, what's the guy's name? Josh Hartnett, I believe you say his name is. Him in the lead role as the butcher, as they call him in this movie. He is great in the movie. Yeah, I think this movie is worth a watch just for his performance alone. He is absolutely great in the movie. But oh my god, this movie just kept pissing me off. I mean, at number, it should be like lower if it pissed me off, but I found myself really enjoying the movie more than the bottom three, excuse me. I don't know how to count apparently. But, oh my god, there's so many conveniences in this fucking film, dude. I have never seen so many conveniences in my life. Like, dude, like, there is no way all of this just works. Like, there's just no fucking way. Like, when the part where he's trying to escape from the, go under the thing where the one singer came out of or whatever, when he's just like, oh man, now I can't escape, I'm gonna get caught and go to jail, and my family's gonna find out. And then his daughter just so happens to think that just right when he's thinking that, his daughter goes, oh, I really hope we get chose for the backup dancer. He goes, ooh, wait a minute. And then she's like, oh yeah, I get to go backstage, stuff like that. And it so happens that M. Night Shyamalan was a security guard or what fuck ever, makes his cameo, which is a fun cameo. And he goes over to talk to him and he goes, oh yeah, my daughter's beating cancer. Yeah, cancer. And it would mean a lot to her if she went up on that stage there so I can watch my daughter have the best time of her life, basically. And so happens that M. Night Shyamalan chooses her, and they go up on stage. And then they go backstage. But convenience is very frustrating, but I can exclude that from the film. That first half where it's in the concert where he's trying to find a way out so he doesn't get caught really had me intrigued. I was really hooked onto it. But dude, where it went from middle type Shyamalan right down. Because you go from this concert to where the guy's trying to escape, and who knew that basically walking into this movie, our trap was that we had to sit down and listen to M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's music, which wasn't bad, decent music. But knowing that was basically the advertisement of this movie, so it's like, oh, watch my daughter sing. It's just like, fuck, man, what the? I came to watch a horror movie, not some fucking concert. I don't want to watch the Taylor Swift movie again. I was dragged to that shit. And nowhere, he escapes, he gets to the limo of the singer, and then slowly after that, it becomes a whole different movie. And, yeah, and there are always two things you can expect from M. Night Shyamalan. Love him or hate him, you gotta know this. One, again, love him or you hate him, you can't argue that this guy always has original ideas. No matter what film he makes, he always has an original idea. No matter what film he makes, it's original. And which, that's a positive here. Concept, I like it. And number two, there's always some sort of twist at the end. We all expect it at this point. It's not there, dude. It's just not there. Like, it's just not there. There's some sort of a twist to where, like, this isn't a spoiler. It's really not, to where, like, the mom and his wife the whole time knew that he was the butcher. It's just like, oh, that's not really a twist. That's it, dude. And when they said that, I was like, oh, this is gonna build up to something. And then the movie ends. It's like, really? That's your twist? I don't know. M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, it's fine. I do think it's better than Knock at the Cabin. I do think it's way better than Old. But it's just fine. And I'm really hoping in the next few years or so, or in his next few films, that we get that old school Shyamalan back, which seems to be taking forever. But of course, coming in at number one is Alien Romulus. Like, what about this movie needs to be said of why it's so fucking awesome? This movie is one of my favorite films of the year. It's my favorite horror movie of the year. It's my favorite Fede Alvarez film of all time. It's just it's the best Alien movie since Aliens. I do prefer it over Alien, which I know is a huge hot take, but I just fucking loved it so much. I just love Alien Romulus. One of the best films of the year, best horror movie of the year, one of the best films ever, period. I fucking love this movie. Absolutely awesome. And this movie made $280 million worldwide on an on an $80 million budget, which a film was meant to go to Hulu. Now Disney, come here. I'm just gonna be closer here. Yeah, I know this is a little too close, but Disney. Hey Disney, if you don't greenlight a sequel or announce a sequel, you're gonna die! You hear me? You're gonna die. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable there. It's just, I just really want a sequel. I just want to follow up to this movie. I really liked it. But yeah, Alien Romulus, number one. Thank you all so much for watching my ranking of all 5 August movies that I watched during the month of August of 2024. Let me know what movies you watched during the month of August down in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe to the bell notification so you will get notified for all of my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, see you all next time.